It hasn't made a noise since.
Oh, must be the wind.
Yeah, it must be the wind that makes a loud noise like that. Hey Internet, it's Jessica, and welcome back to The Letter. So it is Tuesday now, and after, Rebecca saw the girl in the mirror, maybe this time she will have an understanding of where Isabella is coming from, and maybe her bitterness will go away, because, it's really putting me off, because, my first impression of Rebecca was oh, she's the caring older sister. Now that I'm in her head, and, hearing her, what she has to say about Isabella Ashton and whatever, it's just, she sounds so bitter, so I hope she's not actually like that. But looks can be deceiving. Anyway, let's continue. It begins innocently enough. Tuesday morning arrives like any other day before it, bright and clear. Even though it comes with an extra help of the unusual October weather, I appreciate being able to catch a glimpse of the clear skies lately. After going through a bout of sickness last week, it does something to lift the mood of what would otherwise be a dreary morning. And despite being mostly a creature of habit, I wind up waking up earlier than usual because of it. Still, no earlier than Isabella, it appears. I've assumed she'll take the day off or two because of what happened to Miss Cooper, but that doesn't seem to be the case. The sound of the morning news drifts from her unit when I walk past on my way to the mailbox. Chances are, around this hour, she's already been dressed and ready to go, probably just waiting for the next bus to arrive. I tried to follow her example before, but I don't think I'll be repeating that.
Really? How can anyone be up before the sun is up?
It's a habit she's gotten from home, she said, instilled in her by the kind of life she grew up in. Like clockwork, it's always at 4 a.m., either to help with the chores or prepare her little siblings for school. It surprised me at first. She doesn't look like someone who could. In the end, I simply passed it off as one of the many things anyone will have to get used to around her. Not that I'll ever fully understand. I'm my parents' only child. Well, we aren't well off, but so far I've lived a relatively easy life. I don't have to think about bills or food for the next day, or paying for any siblings' tuitions on top of my own, or supporting a sick father's medication. All I have to worry about were my grades, and if I gain Mom and Dad's approval, or what we have for dinner. When put on next to her, they all pale in comparison. They look less like problems and more like petty issues at this point.
Petty issues?
But as unimportant as it all sounds, sometimes its ugly head rears at the most inappropriate moments. And sometimes they come through your mailbox in the form of a fancy-looking letter, pretty ribbons and all. Whoever sent this has spent silly money on an envelope alone, verging on ridiculous, really. I can already imagine Isabella wrinkling her nose when she sees this. Then she'll complain about unnecessary expenses and rich people problems. I'm almost afraid to touch it myself, as if simply brushing a hand against its crisp surface will enough to put a crease on it, and it'll be a terrible slight to the sender. But as extravagant as I find this, it isn't really the first time I've received one. Most of the time, it's not even from me, so who am I to complain? Either way, no look of surprise crosses my face once I flip the envelope to see my parents' name written on the neat script.
Nothing new, then.
Their years in the Academy Natural brought them in various connections, people from other fields, art, science, business, politics, you name it. This one, though, gives a much more personal vibe. Letters like this usually come from old students, people who have grown fond of my parents, and they, in turn, treat like children of their own. I've only met a few of them. Most of them have moved on because of successful in their own chosen careers, and little letters like this are their way of expressing gratitude. It's one thing Mom and Dad are proud of, rightfully so, and I'm also happy for them. But there are times I wish they'll remember they have a daughter here, the real one. Not that it's any of importance now. It's not like they didn't raise me well and provide for me. They did. I wouldn't be here where I am if it weren't for their hard work. And like a dutiful child, I do everything I can to give back, even if a small thing is letting them know that they got another mail waiting for them. The phone rings for a good minute before someone answers. Mom. Her voice is warm as I remember.
Becca?
Hi, Mum. How's the conference going?
Well enough. Until your dad sprained his ankle.
Oh no, is it bad?
I'm alright. In case anyone in this family cares to listen, I'm alright. Very much alive, darling.
And there you have it. He'll be up and walking in a few weeks, don't worry. We're going to have to extend our stay here until it heals, though. Is something the matter?
Nothing big. Just that this mail arrived for you this morning.
A lie. Thankfully she didn't notice. Although, if I'm going to be honest, a small part of me yearns for her to do so and ask me about it, but I put down the idea almost as soon as it surfaces. I shouldn't make them fret. They're busy.
What does it say?
Raise your glasses, give cheers to the good times, blah, blah.
Becca manners. That isn't how I taught you to read.
Sorry. You are cordially... it's an invitation, Mum, for a housewarming party.
The right housewarming party.
From, Hannah?
The name rings a bell, though at the moment I can't recall when and where I heard it recently. It must be nothing too important if I didn't bother committing to the memory. There are a lot of Hannahs in the world, so who knows?
Hannah.
She also wrote you a note, Mum. It says you used to be her private tutor at the Evans Mansion, and that she misses you and would love to see you two again.
It makes my heart clench to read another openly say those words to them, to say ones that I want to tell them. I want to see you too. It's been years since we've been together as a family, and it's one thing that hasn't changed from childhood, is that Mom and Dad are still busy with their respective careers. Out of the country, away on some meeting or synopsism, sometimes from months on end. It only grew more frequent with the years until I'm old enough to live on my own. I like to think that's how I've become independent at such an early age. They've always praised me for that. At times, I wish they didn't.
Evans? Oh, I remember now. Honey, it's Hannah. Hannah Evans. Remember? Bright girl, 2 years older than Becca?
Didn't she get married a few years ago? 7 now, I think. But, they grow up so fast, these kids.
Yeah, she invited us to that too. Fonte de Medici. But we missed that one because you had to present your paper in Singapore.
We did send her a note after. Still a shame we couldn't attend, though. What is it about this time?
She sent another invite for a housewarming party. Becca, when is it?
This Friday, Mum.
Oh, that's too bad. We'd love to be there, but Da's not in a condition to go walking around. I guess we'd have to decline again. I really miss that girl.
I can understand where Becca's coming from. That's really awkward. Like, they always say, like, I miss my students, I miss all these people. And they never say, I miss you, my daughter, who's actually my daughter.
I could go in your place.
I let it slip out without thinking. Personally, I've never been fond of gatherings, regardless of how simple people make it seem. But if there's one thing I hate hearing, that disappointed tone in Mom's voice always ranks first. Wherever it's directed at me or at other things doesn't matter.
Are you sure? Don't you have work this Friday?
The event will be in the evening, Mum. It shouldn't take anything away from my schedule. It's all right. The invite's for 2 people. I can bring someone with me so things don't get boring.
I see. Maybe you can also invite Ashton?
Mum!
Awkward.
That's a sure no from him. He hates attending parties. But I'll see what I can do. If not, I can always bring Isabella with me. You know her. She won't say no if there's food involved.
Okay, if it's not going to be a big problem for you, I don't see why not. We owe you this one, darling.
No problem, Mum. I'll even say hi to Hannah for you.
Please do. And let her know we'd love to see her once we're back in the city. Leave her our number or something.
I will.
But you know, the 2 of you would have become really good friends.
And I guess they will be now.
Don't you remember? You met with her once. If my memory serves me right, you were 12 then?
This, too, I can't recall. It's probably one of those meetings where we only talk for a bit going our ways. If she did leave an impression, I'm pretty sure I would have written about it somewhere, or at least recognized her name. As it is, the only few people I remember clearly from that time in my life is Ashton and Mandy, to some extent. Mom must have sensed my confusion because she laughed.
Don't push yourself too hard, darling. Really? It felt like having 2 daughters back then. Sometimes I wish they didn't send her away to boarding school. But, well, you know how often that goes with them. Still, try talking to her while you're there.
Oh, we'll see. I'll let you know what happens after.
I'm looking forward to it, darling. Take care of yourself.
Will do. You too, Mum. Bye. Tell Da to be careful next time.
She chuckles then. A hearty one, tender and always light on my ears. She may be a stern teacher, but this is a part of her I love the most. The sound of it still echoes even as our call comes to an abrupt end, bringing it with a memory from so many years ago. When life and responsibilities that accompany adulthood are things from far from our minds, if given the chance, I'd love to go back to those. I don't dwell on it though, shaking it all away almost as soon as the memory forms a clear picture in my mind. I've always wondered how Isabella can easily pretend everything's normal over the phone call, but then bounce back as her usual self immediately after. I've seen her do it plenty of times. For me, it just drains whatever energy I have. And with a whole day of teaching still ahead of me, I can't afford to look exhausted in front of my students. Even for a wee bit. It's never a good example to set. So, with another sigh, I put everything in my back of my mind and threaded back to my room. The rest of the day awaits. 15 minutes later, I'm heading back out, dressed in for the day, my car keys in hand. Ordinarily, I don't stop for anything, there's never a need to. But there's the beauty of this apartment complex, it's quiet and everyone keeps to themselves. No useless platitude in the morning, no need to wear a smile on your face, least the other people are nosy enough to ask. Today, however, the morning broadcast still plays from Isabella's room. My brisk pace slows at a top, and a frown gradually forms on my face.
She hasn't left.
Of course, this isn't unusual. There are times when I've left earlier than she did, like last Friday before their open house. But those days are few and far between. It only happens in digressive circumstances, though the last part of that might be a bit of an exaggeration. However, what's happened with the last few days, maybe today is one. The death of a friend isn't something anyone can brush off, and for someone like Isabella is the kind who gets attached to people easily. With Zachary, Ashton, and I, that has been the case. I can't imagine what she might be going through right now, especially when the woman who she owes a lot, despite their training being brief. Never given her space last night in deference, but perhaps today might be the proper time to check on her?
Oh, whatever. I've still got time anyway.
With light steps, I move closer to her door, hand already poised to knock. Still, I don't do so until I hear her answer me.
Isabella? Belle? Are you in there?
No answer. After a second, I finally knock, lightly so I don't disturb her, in case she's sleeping and has merely left the telly running last night. Never mind show how she never lets that happen, ever. Waste of electricity and all.
I just want to check on you before I leave. Is that okay? Are you going to work today, Belle?
Still nothing.
I'm about to leave. If you want, I can drop you off.
Another round of knocking. Oh, we're gonna go into her house, and I figured the ghost girl's gonna be in there because remember, when I was playing as Isabella, I picked for her to go to work. And if I remember, also, she didn't turn off her TV. So, oh god. Then I'm fishing out a copy of her key from my bag to unlock the door. She lent it years ago after I complained about the mess and offered my help in cleaning up. I thought the gesture was completely unnecessary back then after all. I could always knock. But she never did bother taking them from me, always returned it and turning away from the conversation whenever I insisted. At one point, I simply stopped trying to hand it back to her.
Isabella? I'm coming in, alright?
Without waiting for her answer, I pushed the door open and stepped inside. Okay. Her unit is still a mess. Instant noodle cups on the table, a pile of clothes on one side, paper strewn about everywhere, and an unkept bed, among other things. This is much a given, will always be a given. I've been here several times already, and I still wonder how she can function like a human being with a place in this state. However, that's neither here nor there. I'm not sure what I'm expecting, but it's certainly not finding an empty flat. Granted, she could have left earlier, far usual than ever. But she's never ever left without making sure she's unplugged everything. That's something she doesn't forget to do. That doesn't help her bathroom appearance unused this morning. Another habit, but it can only mean she hasn't been here since last night? Perhaps even since the morning after Miss Cooper's death? Oh wait, so this is when she didn't come home. So she was stuck in the office when the ghost girl was there. So this is when, she goes over to Zachary's apartment, right? And then Rebecca starts freaking out and tells Ashton, go find her. I think that's what happened here. Either idea doesn't sit well with me. With what news we've been hearing lately.
The authorities are still trying to find the cause of death for all the victims. Early investigation revealed most of them were employed under Briar Realty Corporation at the time of death.
That's weird, cause why were they targeting the company? That's what I don't get either. Is it just cause the ghost girl's pissed, they sold the house, so it's just I'm gonna go after all of them? But what I don't get is not all of them saw the letter, right? You die if you see the letter, or you're a part of the curse if you see the letter. Rose was the only one who saw the letter. Right? Or no, I didn't show it to her, but she was present during it. I don't understand how the other employees would see it. That's the part that confuses me.
Meanwhile, BRC has refused to comment on this.
Gathering my wits, I immediately place a call to her mobile. It rings for a good minute, the sound of a comfort in itself, but when another minute rolls by without her answering... Well, I'm not a woman prone to panicking. Sudden bouts of my temper maybe, but never panic, despite how I may sound when speaking. And when it ultimately goes straight to voicemail, a sigh is the only thing I can let out. The pause doesn't last long, though. The next moment, my fingers are already moving across the screen in search of the two people who might be able to help. It's Ashton's number I find first and dial. Call it a habit, but even Isabella thinks he's dependable when the situation calls for it, despite how much they give each of their own grief. That already says about him. There's Zachary, but around this hour he's probably still sleeping. If he has some freelance work, it's likely that he's gone himself in bed. He's the last person I want to bother, if anything. The wait doesn't take long. Soon, a click. Then Ashton's voice echoes through the receiver, rough and still heavy with sleep. He never did grow fond of mornings.
Becca? Christ, what time is it? What's up?
Not you, apparently.
Good one. Did you call us early just to make that joke? I'm going back to sleep.
No, Ash, hold on. This is important.
Becca, stakeout last night. Make this quick. I've still got a few hours before the chief bothers me.
Sorry, I'll let you go back to sleep after. It's just that... Wait, you were on a stakeout last night?
Did I say that? Shit. I forgot I said that.
He's not supposed to mention anything about the case.
So, you have no idea?
About what? About what? I also have no idea why we're talking so early in the morning, so there's that.
No, will you stop sleep talking or whatever for a second? Belle didn't come home last night. She's gone.
Who?
Isabella!
Instead of an answer, a brief pause comes after, followed by something blunt and heavy hitting her on the surface of a string of rather colorful curses from him. The moment might have been one of many things I'll keep to myself and remember fondly the next days, if things aren't the way they are. When he picks up again, there's no trace of sleep left in his voice.
Say that again, from the top.
Isabella's gone, Ash. She didn't come home last night. Her flat's empty. She left her telly running. You know she doesn't do that at...
Okay, Becca, stop. Calm down first. You're starting to panic.
I'm not!
You are. Breathe. One person's not going to simply disappear like that. This is Isabella we're talking about. Did you try calling her?
What did you think is the first thing I did? She's not picking up. It went to her voicemail.
How about Zach? Did you check with him?
Not yet. I didn't want to bother him. You know he has trouble sleeping and all that.
All right. I'll go ask Zach. I'll call you back.
No, wait!
He ends the call before I can utter a single word of protest. But for the first time since entering this room, tension is gone from my shoulders and my breathing has eased. The bed creaks as I sit down on it with a sigh. The telly still blares the same uninteresting news, and I'm surrounded by clutter. All the same, it feels strangely calm to be here without worry nagging at me. I'll have to apologize to Zachary later for sending Ashton his way this early, but for now, relying on the latter for this isn't the wrong choice. It never will be. That's something I won't even doubt in him, much to his promises. And true to his word, he calls back only a few minutes after the last one had ended.
She's with Zach.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. She could have at least sent a message last night.
What are you, her mother?
It's one thing that I hear from Isabella, but from Ashton...
I don't want to hear anything like that from you.
I'm serious. You've got to stop treating her like she's one of your students, Becca. You don't have to keep tabs on her every time. Last I checked, she's only 3 years younger than the two of us. That's almost a decade gap from those kids you're teaching, you know.
Says the person who keeps calling her Scaredy Cat.
That's not related at all. Anyway, I'll go check how she's doing. Don't stress yourself out. You go ahead to work.
Wait, you? Don't you have a precinct to be at? Whatever happened to not treating her like one of my students?
That goes for you, Becca,
Because if
not
anyone's going to
Ash.
ask me, I think you're doing the same thing.
Zach said it's an emergency. Something happened last night.
Emergency?
He didn't put in those exact same words, but it sounded like it.
Ash, what really happened? Is Isabella fine?
She's alright. She's safe. Zach let her stay the night after she... Look, okay. Z-Man wasn't clear about it, but let me handle this. I'll check on her. I'll bring her home.
It sounds like a lie if I've heard one. The sort where he omits things so people won't fret, and I'm not sure whether I should be happy that he cares that much about to do that. There shouldn't be a need for this between us, is there? We grew up together, didn't we? He knows I'm capable of at least hearing out the truth without gnawing at me for the rest of the day. He knows me better than that. I know him better than that. Frankly, there's plenty of other things to say about this. But despite all of this and all the trouble he went through with how things are moving at the moment, only one thought occurs to me. What should I say? I can handle that. I can handle it. Sorry for the trouble. No, can we be honest with each other? Is that weird to say? Why does he have to go to such lengths for a person only met 5 years ago? I wish I could ask him that. I wish I could simply say that to his face and finally get a straight answer from him instead of doing whatever we're doing. Instead of beating around the bush. Has the years changed us this much? Has adulthood changed us this much?
You've done enough, Ash. Let me take it from here.
Ashton is quiet for a little while, but I can only almost see the frown in him, hear the gears turning in his head.
Don't you have a class to teach today? Tuesdays are your busiest this school year, aren't they?
Yeah, but someone has to check on her. And I don't want to impose on you any further. I've already disturbed your sleep.
You're not imposing. Besides, I'm doing you a favor. I know you, Becca. You hate being late or missing a day of work for a very small thing. Leave this to me.
You said you're waiting for a call from the chief.
I'm dropping by the precinct anyway. There's some trouble I have to fix with those guys. It won't be completely out of the way.
Ashton, I
trail off, at a loss for words in the end. From the start, it's a losing battle. We may have been together for a long time, knowing each other far better than other people, but that doesn't mean we often see things eye to eye. Time and again, it's a matter of agreeing to disagree. This is often how the status quo is kept. Whenever it comes to this, I can only accept it begrudgingly.
Okay, whatever you want to do.
I'll let you know what happened afterwards, I promise.
Okay.
I'll call you later. You have a good day. Bye.
Did that do anything with their relationship? Did I just go down just because I offered to go? Oh my god. Okay, well, whatever. I admit the way he puts it isn't comforting enough. He can be blunt like that. So many unknown variables, so words left unsaid. I wish he simply laid them all out in the open, because like this, I'm more inclined to think there is an exaggeration on the other's part. If it's from Zachary or Ashton, I don't know. In the end, all I can do is wait, go about my day, and hope for the best. Before leaving, I spare Isabella's room one last glance. Disturbingly quiet now without her in it. I'll get an answer from her later. For now, my concerns are left best here. As the rest of the day slips away in a blur, despite my best efforts in keeping this morning's events from surfacing in my mind, it sticks. In a way, everything today simply feels like a reminder. Every conversation, regardless of how casual, every topic, no matter how mundane it seems. I blame the news entirely for this. Recent happenings brought quite a few interesting stories to everyone's attention, mostly superstitious talk of death. And when the locals talk of death here, anyone can be sure as hell to count on someone to bring it up on the mansion Isabella sold not a few weeks ago. Even my own students won't stop yapping about it. I think it's even worse when it was put back up on the market, now that there are more stories. If this is the world reminding me of what matters, or simply because of the atmosphere around this time of the year calls for it, I'd rather take the latter. At least then, I can be sure people will forget about it in favor of another set of holidays after. Nevertheless, this may be a painful thing to admit, but listening to them is pleasant distraction, while waiting for Ashton's call. I hope he didn't forget, the school day's about to end soon.
No, that's got nothing with what I heard.
Oh, no voice. You always hear stuff. I'm not sure if half of them are even real.
No, really. Rowan knows about it. He used to be in the same class with them.
I can hear you from back here, you know.
Whatever, Rowan. Anyway, the story goes like this. There were 3 of them. They entered the mansion on a dare, and they were all never seen again.
Oh, those students! The video camera that Marianne has.
No one knows what happened to them. Up to this day. Scary shit, man.
Cock and bull story. Calling it now.
No, you don't get it. Why don't you ask Miss Gales then? Better yet, why don't you go inside the place? I'm betting my allowance you can't do it.
Their talk immediately halts when I look up, all of them suddenly pretending to be engrossed in their current activity. Still, a word to put a stopper on this nonsense is needed. Creativity and imagination fostered by these stories is one thing, but reckless ideas should be corrected before anything potentially tragic comes from it.
Back to your worksheets, everyone. And I don't want to hear any talk of dares or going inside that mansion. It's private property now. You'd all better stay away from it before...
Oh. At the noise, the whole lot of them go silent. You can almost hear a pin drop. The look on their faces would have made it for a funny picture, but that's irrelevant at the moment. If that's a student loitering around, someone's got to be in trouble.
I'll be back. If you're done, you can leave your worksheets on my desk.
I don't like this. I have a bad feeling.
Keep the noise to a minimum while I'm gone, okay?
I can sense their eyes on me as I walk out the door. A muted kind of anticipation. A bit unnerving, but it's far from agreeable than the feeling of being watched I've been enduring these past few days. Class is still in session for most of the rooms. In a few hours, once the final bell rings, however, this place will once again be filled with busy chatter and footballs and everyday cycles itself. But for the moment, I let the silence guide me, my ears focusing on whatever sounds there will be, searching for the distinct clanging of metal. A good minute passes, and for a portion of it, only my steps echo through the halls. And another. I'm about to turn around when... The sound of it halts my footsteps. It's a little muffled and infrequent, but it grows louder after each interval. With the hallway devoid of people, if I don't put a stop to it soon, it'll start to disturb the other classes still going on. Looking for it doesn't take long. All I do is follow the racket, and shortly I'm standing in front of the nondescript row of unoccupied lockers. Oh no, I don't like that. And from inside one of them, sitting in the middle, comes the noise, annoyingly disruptive, and now I'm facing it. Like someone's pounding on the metal door from inside, hoping to get out. Leaning in forward, I try to get a glimpse of through the horizontal slat of whatever's causing it. But in the light, only darkness greets me and another round of clanking. Louder than the previous one, more desperate. I've heard stories before from other schools, from a few colleagues of who had to deal with it once or twice. Although personally I've never encountered one myself, but I can only thank the heavens I haven't yet. But
If this is another kid some other student stuffed in a locker.
with a huff, I straighten it up and study before with a frown. Without delay, I reach for its handle and, why would you ask, is someone in there? And at once it stops, immediately replaced by a muffled sound of a mobile phone ringing. I give the door a few raps before taking my attention away. A second, another. When nothing or no one responds, I finally avert my eyes and pull out my mobile. Ashton's voice greets me from the other end of the line, oddly cheerful in light of this morning's matter. Or maybe because I'm just expecting some grave or serious news from him. Instead, I get this.
Hey, Becca.
Well, you sound happy.
I do? My voice still sounds the same to me.
There are only two things I know that could be the reason for that tone. Sweets, or he's gotten a good lead on his case. From the sound of it, I'm going to assume it's the former, since lately that case has all been running inside of his head. If there ever is a third one, I've never heard of it yet. It can only be one of the two.
Ignore that. How's Isabella?
Drove her home a few minutes ago.
Okay.
I think she's sleeping
Good.
now. Sorry this took a while. Z-Man gave us the puppy eyes after we tried to leave.
Yeah, you had to eat his
Had some
food.
food prepared for us, apparently. We didn't have the heart to say no.
That's alright. Is she okay now?
I'm not really sure. She didn't say anything to Zach, but she mentioned a plan to take a few days off from work. It was a passing comment before I left her, so I didn't get to ask.
Must be because of Rose's death.
Could be. It doesn't seem like it from Zach's story, though. He said she was shaking when she got there.
Shaking?
The word triggers a memory. From 3 days ago, on the way home from her little treat after she sold the mansion, I didn't think much of it at the time, but I won't lie, it scared me when she screamed, when she saw it on the window. The terrified look on her face, how she sounded when she suddenly screamed.
Becca? Still there?
Yeah, I just remembered something. Sorry, don't mind me.
Look, if you can talk to her, get the story out of her. That would be great. She wouldn't talk to Zach or me even when I tried. Maybe she'll speak up if it's you.
I'll give it a go, but I can't promise anything, okay? You know how stubborn she can get, but thanks for letting me know about this.
No problem. If anything comes up, just drop me a line, okay?
There's a short pause before he cuts the call off in the end, and once again I'm alone with my thoughts. But rather than answers, all I got are more questions, more of them, on top of the other, as if the world isn't planning to give a break anytime soon. But that's a problem I'll tackle later. Right now, I've got students who need to be taught follies of eavesdropping. If the slightly open door under smothered laughter from the inside is an indication.
Alright, enough eavesdropping. All of you, back to your seats.
Is that your boyfriend, Miss Scales?
None of your business.
He is. He totally is. A quick scuffle follows that comment. If there's a retort prepared at the tip of my tongue, I drop every patience of letting that loose on them. There's no use in arguing with teenagers sometimes, boaster to all of they are. They are still my kids, though. Rough around the edges maybe, but still my kids. Shaking my head, I head back to the classroom with a smile. No, but not before taking a glance at the locker again. It hasn't made a noise since.
Oh, must be the wind.
Yeah, it must be the wind that makes a loud noise like that. So without another look, I leave it alone. Oh! Thank you. Thank you for that jump scare. Oh! So she was in that locker then. That's nice. All in all, the entire school day ends without a hitch. It could have gone better, mind you, but with the exams nearing and getting out of work before the sun has set, looks as though they're far off from dream for now. At least until they're over. Then we have the holidays to look forward to. There really are times when you simply take care of what you can to get for the time being.
Nothing wrong with that.
All I'm hoping for is to continue until the day ends. There is still a promise I made to Ashton, and frankly, the idea alone doesn't sound good. If Isabella didn't talk with them, what makes them think that she'll talk to me? It's not like there's a hierarchy, is there? Just because I can handle Isabella's childish tendencies doesn't mean I can do all the time.
Really, those two give me too much credit.
Nevertheless, I keep my fingers crossed, if only because I'm worried about her, and both Zachary and Ashton deem it important that somebody get the story out of her. Here's to hoping it's nothing to do with the letter again. I understand what she feels a bit stressed lately, but keeping the story going on for more than a week is... It's bound to get tiring at one point. Seriously, I merely don't want this to end another argument. God willing, the cafe special will help smooth things out. After all, it's always been food with her. Or money. But mostly food. At this hour, the cafe is usually filled with the brim with people. The reason Isabella and I rarely go over here during the evenings, it's simply too much of a hassle so we can prepare food ourselves in the comfort of our homes, and there really isn't much reason to eat out lately. With the life going on a busy streak, no time for long lines, better spend doing something productive, yes?
Lucky there isn't one tonight.
Only a few people are idle around the corner. 4 of them, in fact, a woman in her 60s and teenagers busy with his phone, both are waiting to be served an order. Okay, we have Luke and Kylie. Oh. The other 2, the posh-looking man and a child who I immediately recognize as Kylie, appear to have not picked anything they want. For some reason, my stare lingers at the guy. Though dressed in relatively well, looks harmless. I haven't seen him around these parts before. Someone new in the neighborhood, perhaps? She doesn't remember that's the dude from the mansion? Even so, there's something familiar about him. It feels like I've seen him somewhere before. That also begs my question of why Kylie is with him. Of course, the girl easily takes a liking to anyone who buys her sweets, so it's a bit worrisome and unsurprising. The blonde bloke doesn't look particularly thrilled with the company, though. I turn my eyes away from them soon enough once the guy at the counter appears, ready to take my order. That, and also I'd hate to be accused of ogling strangers.
2, evening special, takeout.
He's already punching the order before I finish. Saying my order out loud is really more formality's sake than making out of a habit. He has known Isabella and I long enough that we drop here. He already knows it's always because I'm buying dinner for the 2 of us. I rarely visit here alone if I can help it, but Isabella can sometimes be a bad influence. He gives me a small smile before leaving to prepare my order while I fish for my wallet when...
Look, you little ankle biter. If I buy you the biggest parfait they have, will you please behave?
He even acts like an asshole to his goddaughter.
I would just like 10 minutes of peace and quiet.
You said you'll get me some bread pudding this time.
Yeah, well, darling, they said they ran out of it. Just pick another one so we can be on our way.
That parfait doesn't look as cute as the one my mom bought me.
Parfait is just ice cream, sweetheart. It'll melt no matter how dainty it appears. In the end, it'll all look like an ugly puddle.
This guy's a very wonderful person to be around, huh?
Now come on, just pick one. It could even be the most expensive one on that list. I don't give a shit. I don't care. Oh, what I would give for someone to buy you off my hands right now.
What? My whole attention is instantly snaps back at them and their conversation. Jumping to conclusions is something I'm particularly fond of, especially when I have all baseless assumptions, but I can't really trust a stranger these days. No one around the cafe seems to have noticed his words either. Very suspicious words. Still, I don't move yet. But my hand already shifted from my wallet to the book I'm carrying. A hardbound textbook. Looks harmless, but if situation calls for it, it might be a good deadly weapon. Might. She's gonna whack him over the head with a book. I haven't gotten the chance to try it anywhere so far. Today could be the day.
But you promised.
Look, if you don't want a parfait...
I like how it changed a suspicious looking man.
How about a bonifie pie? I'm sure it'll taste just as good as any other bread pudding. I'll even buy you the entire tray. How does that sound?
That's not what you said before.
Well, sweetheart, adults change their minds sometimes.
You said if I come with you, you'll buy me a bread pudding, and I did. And now you won't keep your promise. I want to go home. I miss my mom.
No, darling, if I remember correctly, and I have a good memory, honey. What I said was, if you come quietly with me, I might buy you one.
See, if you didn't know they were like godparents of Kylie, this would sound like Luke is kidnapping a child, right?
The quiet part didn't happen. Though now that I'm sober, I think this is a bad idea. I should just ship you someplace else for that peace and quiet.
Oh, that's it. No hesitation. In a few paces, he's within my reach, and without warning, I'm slamming the flat area of the book against his skull. She actually hit him! There's a cry of pain, followed by instantly crouching down, hands nursing a sore spot. Almost comically, if this was a different situation, the safety of St. Garate's student isn't at stake, I'll probably feel sorry for him. I mean, has anyone seen how thick this book is?
Get behind me, Kylie.
Miss Pink!
It's amusing how fast her expression changes from the pouty one earlier to something that's utter delight upon seeing me. but there is no time for pleasantries, not even a quick one, because soon the man straightens and I'm readying my favorite newfound weapon for another hit. Except this time, he's ready. Before I can lend another hand, his hand shoots up and catches my wrist a firm hold. And the look on his face. Yeah, why does he look like that?
Bloody hell, woman, what's your problem?
To say he's pissed would be a complete understatement. Had I been weak-willed sort, I'd probably cower under his sharp gaze. But that simply isn't how I roll. If he thinks he can scare me to do so here as he pleases, just because I'm a woman or whatever his reason may be, he's got another thing coming for him. So instead, I return it with the same intensity, with the same venom, because
what's my problem?
Becca's the same way.
You're the one who has a problem here. Rotten bobos like you don't deserve the freedom to run this town. What are you doing to this girl?
And why is that any of your business, pray tell?
Oh, it's my business if I make it to be. Now, release me or I'll call the police.
You think that scares me, Daisy?
I have a name, you sleazy douchebag.
Oh, I'm sure.
His grip on my hand only tightens when I attempt to shake it off. His tone may be dripping with anger and sarcasm, but the gleam in his eyes says it all. He's getting a kick out of this. Riling people up, getting on their nerves, invading their personal spaces. I guess that's why he's like a dick, like 24/7, right? Because he enjoys it. He knows exactly what and which buttons to push. The nerve of this person. The nerve of this arsehole. If he thinks I'm gonna give in and his goading, please, he might as well just kiss his sorry behind. In fact, why not do the most sensible thing right now? Teach him a lesson. Hit him where it hurts. Shout for help. Okay, I'm kind of scared of Luke because I still think he's into some shady business. So I'm gonna say help just for the safety of Becca.
Let me go, you uncouth lout.
Or else what?
I'll scream.
He laughs, an adverse that thinks it rankles my tempers more than it has any right to. It is if he knows I can't do anything, or he's above any authority that exists in his city, confident that he can get away with anything. The gall of this man. I'd like to punch him right now if I can.
Nice try, lady.
Why does he sound like a villain all of a sudden?
Why don't you drop the book first? You could kill people with that, you know.
It's a book.
Fat chance.
Oh no, that attitude won't do, Daisy. Here, let's try that again, like the proper adults we both are. Drop the bloody fucking book.
And then what? If you're assuming I'm...
Then we'll have a nice conversation over a cuppa. Establish why you're attacking a poor, innocent stranger with a deadly weapon. And maybe weave in an apology or two for the offended party afterwards. I'm the offended party here, by the way. My brain hasn't returned to its rightful place yet, in case you're wondering.
Innocent! Don't play dumb! I heard what you were trying to do with that girl. Just because she isn't my student yet doesn't mean I don't have a role in protecting that child's innocence.
Protecting the what of who? Why would you? Oh no.
In the span of a second, the expression on his face changes faster than anyone is capable of. From pure confusion to sudden realization before finally deciding on the fate of utter mortification. He's quickly to drop a hold of my hand afterwards, like he's been holding a piping hot object, and he realized that it's in his hand all along. He's far from a decent person, but he actually might make a good money doing comedy. The look on his face, but when he starts babbling his excuses, is almost priceless.
No, this kid's... Alright, lady, look, it's all a misunderstanding.
My tone can't go any flatter than the one I have now.
Right. Somebody help me!
He places a hand in my mouth before I spill the rest of it, and all at once I'm caught between trying to stop him from smothering me and keeping his dirty hand off of me. When did the people know there's like 4 people in this restaurant right now? But even as my nails dig deeper into his wrist, he doesn't appear to have any intention of letting me go. Because being loud works, however. Practically every customer seated in the small establishment is on us. I shoot each of them an imploring look, hoping one of them will have a sense to help. This sleaze, however, is fast enough to flash them all an embarrassing smile.
Haha! This lady's having such a bad day! Poor girl's just been through so much today!
How does no one notice this? She whacked the guy in the head with a book and said, "What are you doing to this girl?" And then no one's gonna look. Oh my god.
Nothing to see here. Go on with your dinner.
What the hell? Bad day. Even if it were a friendly chat, I won't ever touch you with a 10-foot pole. Much less share any problems with you, blighter. You're my problem. I want to blurt it out, but with a hand covering my mouth and my lungs rapidly losing air, I bite down on his hand. Hard. It works. He yells, jerks his hand away from my face. Stepping back as stepping back to put as much distance as he can between us while nursing his injured hand against his chest and muttering a string of very creative set of expletives. Tears have formed at the corner of his eyes from the pain, and a small laughter almost leaves me. To be frank, he gives me the impression of a kicked puppy. One the glare he shoots me. A puppy I'm less inclined to feel sorry about.
You mad woman!
I warned you, you ass!
Why, this is harassment, I'm telling you! Harassment!
And what you did isn't?
Then why don't you tell that to the police once they get here, hmm?
You despicable! Whatever you're assuming I am, I'll have you know it's all in your head. None of it's true. You best have that pretty brain of yours checked before that gets worse. What is wrong with you? Is this the face of someone who'd do anything suspicious?
Oh? You don't think a stranger luring an innocent child with promises of sweets before whisking them away from their parents doesn't warrant any suspicion? You have a very funny definition of suspicious, asshole. Maybe you're the one who should have that head of yours checked.
The kid asked me to buy her sweets. You're the one who's suspicious here?
No, because what you said was suspicious, dude.
I'll have you know, I have a wife!
Okay? Like, what does that have to do with anything? To much at least, it appears to have a sliver of truth of it. He even makes the show of brandishing his left hand to my face with much flourish. Sure enough, a wedding ring is there, though all that earned him is an impressed glare from me. Immediately, a small part of me starts to feel sorry for whatever poor woman married this sod. I don't understand why he would bring her up either, as if mentioning her alone will magically present a solution to this problem. She must truly be a remarkable woman if she can handle a dirtbag like him.
And even my wife of all people in this bloody city, has never, I'm telling you, accused me of such a scandalous thing! You crazy woman!
What is wrong with Luke? This guy's like, oh my god.
Married or not, you're still a sleaze. Honestly, I feel...
Miss Pink, why are you fighting with my tail?
Whatever words have left unsaid here dies on my tongue. The same goes for the sleaze. Besides that stands Kylie, gawking at us with the same curious stare she often brings with her. I know the look too well, a precious child through and through. She doesn't say anything further. Her gaze simply moves between us, eyeing both of us carefully, clearly anticipating an answer. From my experience, when it gets like this with the children her age, it's a sure sign they won't leave you, until you give them an answer that they're satisfied with. Lying won't do it either. It has dissolved into a shouting match, for heaven's sake. And did she say Tio? Something falls straight into the pit of my stomach at that. But my tone is gentle when I finally address her, void of any apprehension, and what might be the first hint of embarrassment. I pointedly ignore the latter, and it can be very well just a hungry speaking.
Kylie, sweetie, do you know this oaf?
Yeah, he's Tio Luke.
Right at that moment, my brain stops. Every line of thought, every argument I had against the man beside me dissipates in the haze. I missed all of it. One memory gets triggered from a few days ago.
Tio? The one you mentioned before? The uncle? The guy Rowan wanted to impress? Or was that a dare? I'm sorry, I can't recall. Is it the one who promised he'll take Big Brother someplace cool?
Yeah, the one and the same. Don't you know who he is?
I sure as hell don't, darling. Because if I do, I wouldn't have let everything I said come out of my mouth.
He's my Tio Luke. Gazillionaire extraordinaire, am I? No, the fairy godfather.
He's your godfather. That's nice.
The one and only. Did I get that right, Tio?
More than right, sweetheart. I'm sure Miss Pink here understood everything you said quite perfectly.
I don't like how, like, Luke can, like, change his tone, like, so quickly. It's creepy. Whatever it is that landed at the bottom of my stomach prior has shot straight up to my face and stayed there. The heat from it slowly spreading over my cheeks, coloring my face in almost the same shade as my hair. If only the earth would swallow me whole here and now. His eyes are on me, I can feel them, jeering, mocking. I can't even bring myself to look at him. What's in there? Amusement? I doubt it. He's probably having the time of his life right now. But I know, I can hear the sneer in his tone, although when he talks. He has that smug grin on him, which I may or may not want to punch off his face at present, just for the hell of it. But damage control. I need to do damage control before this whole thing goes south. Apologize to Luke, I'll apologize to Luke, just so he'll shut the hell up. Though it pains me to apologize to a sleazebag like him, this is my mistake. With Kylie watching us close by, I don't want to set a bad example for her, do I? I'm surprised she grew up as a child as she is. If anything, I want to be the role model this man couldn't possibly become for her. Even if it means taking a few blows to my ego and stroking his insufferable one. A deep gulp of air, a short moment of swallow of my self-respect, and then I'm facing him. The words are out of my mouth in a single breath.
I'm really, really sorry, sir. I had no idea.
His smirk is impossible to miss. He's not making an effort to hide it, and even the smile is so irritatingly present in his tone. If I could slap it off him, I'd do it in a heartbeat.
Now, it's an honest mistake, Daisy.
No, I really mean it. I actually thought you were... And then...
It's fine now. It probably happens quite a lot to a few people who look suspicious to you. Seems I'm one of them now. But don't lose sleep over it. Do be careful with that book, though. A little more and you would have dislodged my poor brain off my head. What would I ever do if that happens?
Oh, no! Did it leave a mark or anything? If you want, we can have it checked. I'll handle the expenses if there's a need for it.
Now, what kind of man would I be if I let an attractive woman such as yourself do that? Why don't we just look at it this way?
Why does he have to say that? Like, why would I let an attractive woman do that? Like, why? Are you being creepy?
My forgiveness is coming from the utter goodness of my heart.
So full of himself. Exactly the kind of person I'll happily leave to die in a ditch somewhere.
Of course, sir. Why didn't I think of it that way?
I know, right? But even someone as capable as you is bound to have a few lapses. No harm done, Daisy. Let's move on from this.
Well, if you're going to put it like that, then I guess there's nothing left for us to talk about.
I figured as much.
Awkward. The whole exchange is nothing but awkward display of fake pleasantries. One that brings much agony is the very pride I'm willing to have held back a while ago. I might need a drink later, so I can forget any of this ever happened. Who would have thought the time would come when I'd meet someone tougher to handle than Isabella? Miracles of miracles, I swear. Though, to my surprise, he offers me a hand shortly before the leave. For a shake, I realize after a long minute of staring at it, I accept it, a bit half-heartedly. But all of the goodwill and that small gesture represents a melt into thin air when he winks at me. Winks. The gall of this man. However, there's no moment to ponder about it. Seconds later, the guy at the counter waves me over and hands me a paper bag as soon as I paid. He offers another smile before I leave. Normally, I return it simply just for the sake of returning it, or I don't at all, with the latter happening more commonly. For the time being, I do so freely. After the encounter and the scene we've caused, seeing a friendly gesture being extended to me, albeit from a person I barely know on a personal level, it feels like reassurance, despite bearing no promise of better days. I take what little I can with me, and I step out into the night. Okay, so looking at the relationship, it went up with Luke because I apologized with him. I feel like I just should do it just in case something bad happens with the ghost girl. You know, at least like their relationship is like on a neutral ground, so that's fine. But anyway, I'm gonna end this episode right here. I just don't know what's wrong with Luke. Why is he so weird? Like, why does he have to be so weird? And the fact that his mood changed all of a sudden and he turned like normal and happy when he was just like disgustingly angry? Like, the look he was giving Rebecca was weird. I don't know. I don't trust Luke. He's just an odd person. But regardless of that, if you guys enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like. Let me know in the comments what you think. What do you think about Luke? Him changing his mood and stuff like that. It's just creepy to me. And be sure to subscribe and hit the bell button so you know when I upload the next episode of The Letter. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye! Oh my god! That will leave you saying,
Agent Norman Jaden, FBI, Agent 47023, Norman Jaden. I'm Agent Norman Jaden from the FBI.
and for dessert, we have a delicious and